Incredible 12-year-old girl defies all odds, transforms flight emergency into an inspiring rescue. Lily Miller had always felt like a ghost in the bustle of her small Midwestern town, where every soul pried into everyone else's secrets. Shyness wrapped around her like an old quilt, keeping her tucked away while others mingled and laughed. Lily preferred the worlds found in pages, where she conjured up vibrant tales filled with heroes, yet all she felt in reality was small, overlooked, trapped in doubt. The air crackled with possibility as her family boarded the plane heading to see her ailing grandparent, but in that cabin, a newfound restlessness stirred within her. As the plane climbed and the ground slipped away below, it happened a sudden thrust issue sent the cabin lurching. Gasps filled the cramped space, and panic erupted like fire. The senior flight attendant's collapse highlighted the reality of their perilous situation while chaos bubbled among passengers. Lily's heart raced, and her mind blurred. The dreams of heroism she had cherished during the Young Leaders program surfaced like buoyant promises of salvation. Yet, fear twisted her thoughts. Could someone like her truly make a difference when her own self-doubt clamped its grip tighter with every anxious moment? A wave of spiteful memories assaulted her. What could you possibly contribute, Lily? Echoed in her mind from countless dismissive whispers. As adults clawed for guidance, their frantic eyes seldom noticed the timid girl in the corner. Would they trust her, a mere child, when the very adults seemed paralyzed by fear? Even as she felt that familiar trepidation nipping at her heels, an inner voice stirred, wrestling with resentment and longing. The dream of being something more. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lily stood small among towering figures of authority, her determination battling against the crushing weight of their skepticism. The chaos around her muddled her thoughts, but then, clarity struck. She couldn't let them surrender to fear. With trembling lips, she called out, "We need to band together." Each word was a thread, weaving a fabric of hope among them. But doubt still rippled through the adults' faces, shadows of disbelief stifling her voice. As a pivotal moment slipped through her fingers, doubt sparked heavier than lead. What if she failed? The weight of responsibility was terrifying, but retreating was no option. Muscles tensed, and her breath quickened. This was not just about breathing life into her dreams, lives were at stake. Amidst rising uncertainty, her brow furrowed as she recalled her training. A hidden communication system existed within arm's reach. Could she grasp it? Could this hidden tool shift the momentum? The answer lingered within her, wavering between fear and hope. Would she draw on her quiet strength, or fall victim to the paralysis of her doubts? The aircraft continued to wobble, the stakes ever more desperate as she braved an uncertain future, teetering on the edge of a possible, harrowing rescue. The roar of the plane's engines threatened to drown out Lily's racing thoughts. She could feel the vibrations beneath her feet, each jolt reminding her of the gravity of their situation. The adults were still whispering doubts to one another, their fear palpable. Despite their size and experience, they seemed to shrink in the face of imminent danger. But Lily was not about to allow their anxiety to spread unchecked. Without fully understanding what she was doing, she surged forward, the instinct to help overpowering her self-doubt. She humbled herself among the crew, crouching low to meet their hesitant gazes. "We have to work together," she insisted, her voice trembling, yet firm. "I know how to use the intercom system. Trust me." Her words appeared tentative, but her resolve was hardening within her like steel. An older woman in a flight attendant uniform looked at her, confusion etched across her features. "You. But you're just a child," she said, her tone laced with skepticism. The flicker of frustration ignited in Lily's chest, a flame born from years of feeling overlooked. A competitive urge spurred her to prove herself not just to the adults around her but to herself. "Just because I'm young doesn't mean I can't help." she argued, her voice louder now. The passion behind her words caught the attention of others, shifting their focus. She saw recognition in their eyes, a glimmer of hope amid their despair, and she sensed a collective breath being held, waiting for a decision. A man near the front, whose grip on the armrest had turned knuckles white, beat a hand against the plastic seat with sudden urgency. "If there's a chance, we need to hear her out." The woman hesitated, eyes narrowing as she weighed the alternatives. Lily felt the tide of doubt start to recede as she took the next step toward claiming her agency. "I've used the intercom before. Let me show you how it works. We need everyone to stay calm." She gestured toward the communication panel, dim lights flickering as if the plane itself was holding its breath. The flight attendant nodded cautiously, her resolve thickening. Lily's heart raced as she leaned in, operating the intercom with trembling fingers. She broadcast their situation, her voice cutting through the chaos. "This is Lily speaking. We're experiencing turbulence but must remain calm. I need everyone to focus. We'll get through this together." With each passing word, Lily's confidence surged. She had transformed from a frightened child into a beacon of calm amongst the tempest of fear. It wasn't simply words coming from her mouth. For the first time, she felt a current of authentic leadership flowing through her veins. The atmosphere shifted palpably, the adults responding now to her call, absorbing her message as they steadied their breaths and looked to one another for reassurance. But as the plane wavered again, a new wave of anxiety rushed over her. What came next would either define her newfound strength or tear apart the fragile web of hope she had woven. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. Had she gone too far? Would they take her seriously, or fall back into the grip of panic? Each question clawed at her, demanding attention. She could feel the eyes of the adults upon her, thirsting for guidance as they waited, a dynamic reversal of how she'd always felt. A sudden thought struck her, a flash of inspiration. If she could put the adults at ease, she could also help herself grow. But what if the turbulence intensified? The reality that their safety was precarious started gnawing at her bravery. Just then, the monitor flickered ominously, a deafening alarm echoing through the cabin. Panic erupted anew as adults shot anxious looks toward one another. This was it, the moment had arrived for her to face any lingering fears head-on. Lily inhaled deeply, steeling herself for what she would do next. Would she shrink back into her former self or arise to create not just a path for others, but a way for herself as well? As the aircraft trembled around them, she was poised on the brink of a revelation that could reshape her life forever. The moment of truth had come, and she was ready to seize it. In that heartbeat of silence following the alarm, Lily felt as if she were suspended in time. The cacophony of murmurs, gasps, and the unsettling roar from the engines faded to a distant hum. It was just her and the reality of this moment. She sensed the weight of unseen eyes fixed upon her, the collective anticipation becoming a tangible thing. This was her crucible. The choice was crystal clear: crumble under the pressure or rise like a phoenix. For the first time in her life, all the experiences, the doubts, the countless times being dismissed or overlooked coalesced into a single truth. She was not just a child, she was a capable individual in her own right. Drawing from a reservoir of inner strength she had not yet realized existed, Lily's chin lifted defiantly. "Listen to me," she said, voice unwavering as she locked eyes with the flight attendant who had doubted her. "We need to focus on maintaining control. If everyone stays calm, we'll manage this together." The flight attendant's gaze softened slightly, a flash of recognition crossing her features like a brief sunrise breaking through dark clouds. Lily, yearning to guide them through the chaos, recalled old lessons she had gleaned from books and films, fragments of wisdom about leadership and resilience. Formulating a plan, she rallied the crew with measured clarity. "We can divide the cabin into sections. Each person should talk to their immediate neighbor, help each other breathe and remember what we need to do in emergencies." As she spoke, the panic in the cabin began to dissipate, replaced by a collective effort to cooperate, even in the face of uncertainty. Adults nodded, fueled by her infectious determination. "Take deep breaths," she encouraged. Let us count to 3 together and focus on successive breaths. To her astonishment, the adults complied, their voices first hesitant gaining strength as they echoed her count. 1, 2, 3. A ripple of calm spread through the aisles. Yet, as they exhaled together, another tremor rattled the plane, far stronger than before. The unnerving sensation jolted Lily, adrenaline shot through her, provoking every anxious thought to rise like a tidal wave. Still, she quelled her fear. She wasn't about to back down now, not when she had demonstrated her potential. What if they need more than just breathing exercises? She questioned internally. The stakes had escalated. They were still in danger, the turbulence intensified. She glanced from face to face, assessing their confidence faltering again, the doubts creeping back into the corners of their minds. Summoning the courage for her next move, she shifted her focus to the intercom again, ready to provide another message. But first, she needed to convince them further. You are all capable of helping one another, just like I am, she reminded them, appealing to their pent-up emotions. Let's not give up. Think about the families waiting for us. A few adults exchanged glances, the seed of determination taking root. They nodded as if reconnecting with their own buried strength. Lily felt a swell of pride. Perhaps she was leading them towards something bigger than just addressing immediate fear. She was forging connections, instilling purpose. At that moment, clarity struck her. She realized that not only was she rescuing others, they were rescuing her alongside. With newfound conviction, she gripped the intercom, ready to transcend her expectations. Let me share some strategies on how to handle this emergency. We can do this together. We are stronger than our fears. As she spoke, she noticed the panic had begun to transform into resolute determination. The adults leaned in closer, expectantly awaiting her guidance. The visual shift in their body language inspired her to dig even deeper. But just as she felt the momentum building, a sudden jolt made her stumble, and an equally strong voice erupted behind her, rivaling her newfound authority. We need to prepare for an emergency landing, a man shouted, panic bleeding back into the atmosphere. The threat was now tangible, growing ever closer. Lily's heart dropped. She could feel the spiraling energy of fear begin to grip the cabin once more. Would the strength she had begun to build withstand this external shock? She was on the precipice of something monumental, with both personal evolution and safety hanging precariously in the balance. With determination set in her chest like armor, Lily prepared to confront not only the chaos around them but also the internal storm still swirling within her. If she could anchor their hope and redefine this ordeal as an opportunity for genuine growth, she might just transform an emergency into something astonishing. The tempest stirred, and as the plane rocked violently, a flood of determination surged through her veins. This was her moment to face the storm head-on. Would she rise to the occasion, or falter when it mattered most? The moment the man's words echoed through the cabin, an unbearable tension crept back in. Lily's heart raced, each beat resonating like the thud of a drum in the chaos. An emergency landing meant more than turbulence, it could mean losing control entirely, and she could sense the dread looming larger in the minds of those near her. Her mind raced, analyzing the implications. Every strategy she had crafted seemed to teeter on the edge of collapse. But in that overwhelming panic, she grasped a sliver of insight. Fear was not just an obstacle but a catalyst for action. If she could turn that fear into a unified response, perhaps she could extinguish the flames of uncertainty that were fanning across the cabin. Focus! She shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. We have a plan. If we prepare ourselves and each other, we can get through this. Her words emerged like a clarion call. Instinctively, she strode toward the back of the cabin, where the flight attendant was still processing the developing situation. We need to coordinate our efforts, Lily said, meeting her eyes with urgency. Assign roles everyone can contribute in some way. The attendant appeared taken aback, perhaps expecting defiance or fear from a child. But Lily was no longer just a child, she was resolute, her resolve pulsing through her like a lifeline tethering their collective anxiety. The attendant nodded slowly, recognition dawning in her expression. Right, let us do this. As adults began to gather, assigning tasks from checking nearby exits to keeping an eye on their fellow passengers, Lily took a deep breath. She knew she must demonstrate her faith in their capacity. There are more of us than there are obstacles, she asserted, her conviction weaving a thread of confidence. Let us make a human chain of support. Each person share what they need: anxiety, fear, or just a presence. We'll lift each other up. Watching the arrangement unfold was surreal. Adults formed pairs, their focus shifting from inner turmoil to mutual assistance. Conversations ignited, replacing fear with camaraderie. That fire kindling in the cabin fueled her confidence further, letting her realize she had sparked something vital in them. They were transforming fear into an actionable force, but a new tremor surged through the aircraft, sharper and more menacing than previous jolts. Her stomach dropped, and she felt a sense of dread claw at her. Now was not the time to mistake resolve for complacency. She needed the adrenaline from her fear to sharpen her focus. Remembering the emergency protocols she'd researched for school projects on safety, she activated the intercom once more. This time, her voice was steady. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we're scared, but we've got this. She emphasized the we, anchoring her sense of unity and solidarity in her words. Please help each other and listen for instructions from the crew. Keep your seatbelts fastened, remain calm, and we will work together. The murmurs simmered down, she could sense the flickers of trust igniting around her. Knowing that whatever happened next, she could not retract her newfound strength, she stepped aside, her chest swelling with pride. She was part of something larger and more profound than any singular act of heroism. The resilience in the air felt almost palpable, a testament to the strength born of community, even if that community was forged under duress. But just as her determination reached its peak, an unsettling sound filled the cabin, an alarm ringing insistently, a harbinger of dire news. Lily's heart raced anew, panic threatening to swallow the courage she had built around her. Was this the moment where her resolve would be put to the ultimate test? Eyes widened, breath caught in her throat, she faced the cabin, ready to confront whatever reality awaited her. The storm within intensified, and in that instant, she felt both terrified and emboldened. This felt dangerously close to a cliff. Would she dive headfirst into the unknown, or could she grasp hold of that flicker of hope? The answer unearthed itself within her, whispering courage. But the moment she steadied herself to face the oncoming wave, the voice of urgency on the intercom cut through the air, signaling everything was about to change once again. The warning signal blared with an almost sinister insistence, wrapping the cabin in an electrified tension. Lily glanced toward the cockpit, a labyrinth of confusion and worry igniting her instincts. Did the pilots know how to navigate this uncertainty? Her heart thudded harder in her chest, each pulse a sharp reminder of the stakes at play. But she had stirred something within the people around her, an undeniable energy now swirling in the confined space. Stay alert. She called out again, her voice transcending the din. It wasn't just a reassurance, it was a directive, a reminder that they were still in control of their actions even if the plane itself seemed on the brink of chaos. The collective moment demanded another push of her courage. Lily stepped down the aisle, assessing the faces constricted with worry. They needed to act, every unnecessary thought tossed aside like a discarded paper. Can anyone remember the emergency procedures? What do we do if we have to brace for landing? The query shifted attention, forcing her fellow passengers into a state of shared responsibility. They say to tuck your head and brace against your knees, someone offered, and others nodded, fueled by a rising sense of agency, ready to comply. Lily noticed a man tightening his grip on his partner's hand, his expression a mask of serene determination, as if grounding them both during a storm. She caught his eye, and it dawned on her, their fear could be a shelter if they didn't let it consume them whole. If we all lean into this together, it might just make the difference, she said softly, addressing the man directly. You helped him. Now you can help everyone. He seemed to understand, a flicker of gratitude igniting in his gaze. Their united front was becoming a tapestry of resilience, woven from moments of dark uncertainty, the announcement echoed again, this time with an urgency underscored by calm: "Prepare for descent. Please follow our instructions." It rang through the cabin not just as a directive but as a clarion call, the sign they needed to shift gears. Glancing back at the attendant, now directing passengers towards safe positions, Lily decided that positioning herself wasn't enough. She was not simply an observer motivated by fear. She needed to transcend any notion of helplessness. "Everyone. Let us create a line, help the elderly, and ensure everyone is seated correctly. Focus on the exits. We're not just passengers anymore, we're a team." With newfound momentum, she watched adults spring into action, eyes wide but determined. Anxiety still hung faintly in the air, but with each step they took together, they began shedding layers of panic in favor of purpose. It was a profound shift. The adults were not overlooking her presence, they acknowledged her leadership. This subtle acknowledgement, though small, foreshadowed her true development. No longer merely a frightened child, she had emerged as a catalyst for each person's will to fight their fear. She could feel the power of her voice rising like a tide. It wasn't just her ability to rally support but the potential within everyone that rallied around her. An unexpected jolt rattled the cabin again, sharper this time. The sound of metal clashing echoed through the fuselage, reverberating doubt like a cruel undertow. Lily's breath hitched momentarily, the rush of adrenaline sparking a gnawing fear. This chaos would be their crucible, testing her resolve like never before. Suddenly, a shadow fell across her thoughts, an intrusive worry. What if the descent meant they were losing control? What if she had summoned everyone's courage only to see it vanish within the impending chaos? As the descent continued, preparing her heart meant confronting the raw uncertainty head-on. She reframed her thoughts, actively combating them with the image of standing with her family in their backyard, a safe haven that allowed her to embrace fear as she learned to move past it. She would not falter, they would not falter. But just as she turned to help another passenger into position, the loudspeaker crackled anew, announcing something that made her blood run cold. "We have a code red situation. Prepare for immediate instructions." Her heart dropped, pinching in a moment where hope felt suffocated beneath the weight of unknown possibility. Every ounce of resolve converged around her, the looming challenge waiting to unfold as she wondered if she held the answer this time. Panic surged through the cabin, squeezing the air until it felt thick and suffocating. Lily's mind raced, the announcement reverberated within her, amplifying her anxiety. What did a code red situation entail? Her body instinctively tensed as the stakes ramped up. She clenched her fists, focusing on her breath, each inhalation steadying her heart. "All right, stay calm," she exclaimed, the determination in her voice rising above the clamor. "We need to listen carefully and prepare for whatever comes next." The efforts of the cabin attendants to mobilize the passengers intensified. They moved among the rows, exuding urgency and purpose. Lily admired their poise, it was a skill she aspired to cultivate in herself. Fighting her fear took on a new meaning. No longer was she just reacting, now she needed to act decisively. Framing her thoughts, she recalled the emergency training course she'd taken at school. They drilled scenarios that had once seemed highly unlikely, but now they felt utterly tangible. "We need to familiarize ourselves with our surroundings," she instructed, her voice firm yet empathetic. "Check beneath your seats for life vests or other safety equipment." As she turned back, she found herself confronted by a woman with wide, terrified eyes. There was something familiar about her expression, a look that mirrored Lily's own doubts. But instead of wallowing in that fear, Lily took a deep breath, stepped closer, and whispered reassuringly, "We're going to be okay. That's what we need to believe right now." The woman nodded, and a flicker of something hope crossed her features. The exchange grounded Lily, illustrating the profound impact one individual could make in a time of crisis. It was a connection steeped in shared experience, strengthening her resolve. The looming dread returned as the loudspeaker buzzed again over the din, a voice not belonging to the pilots. For the first time, a cold sweat trickled down Lily's spine. "Prepare for potential evacuation procedures. Follow instructions as they are given." Her heart dropped, the weight of the situation bore down on her. But with fear came clarity. She recalled the words her mother often spoke about resilience. It's not about eliminating fear, it's about learning to navigate through it. Instinctively, she formed a plan. Listen up, everyone. She called, her voice steady. I need volunteers to gather the nearest emergency equipment. A few passengers looked at each other, uncertainty flickering in their expressions, but a couple stood up, bolstering her confidence. Great! You'll be our eyes and ears. Let us get in a circle, now. Keep your heads up and keep breathing. The straightforward structure of her call encouraged others to rally, moving toward the front where supplies were stowed. As they scavenged, Lily's mind switched gears. She began mentally mapping out all the exits and potential escape routes. Could she make the plan clear enough so that even children could understand it? The lines of fear blurred with her newfound leadership. It was exhilarating that in moments of quiet, she reflected on what this experience was revealing about herself. She thrived under pressure and found strength in the storm. This was a test of her character, a crucible that, unbeknownst to her, had been shaping her for years. Then, she remembered the video of the older captain explaining leadership. It's not about being unshakable, it's about standing tall through the tremors. Just then, a sudden, forceful shake sent turbulence rippling through the cabin, punctuating her thoughts with a stark reminder of their reality. Instinctively, she took a deep breath, beckoning the others to do the same. Everyone. Her voice pierced through the rising panic. Now is the time to be brave. Let us position ourselves near the exits and stay alert for further instructions. They all moved with a sense of purpose, unfurling their collective courage. But as tension surged once more, and a thunderous crash echoed beneath them, doubt clawed at Lily's resolve. Did she still possess what it took to guide them through this tempest? In that moment of reckless chaos, her mind whispered the defining question: what if this test of endurance opened doors she never knew existed? As they approached potential action, she felt the answer bubbling just beneath the surface, one that promised to shape not just this moment, but every day that lay ahead. The air crackled with tension as another brutal jolt coursed through the cabin, rattling the fragile composure Lily had fought so hard to maintain. Voices mingled in a chaotic symphony of fear and uncertainty, but she refused to be overwhelmed. There was still a glimmer of clarity in the midst of turmoil. Taking slow, deliberate breaths, she recalled her training, a lifeline in the stormy seas of her mind. Focus on the exits. She shouted, channeling every ounce of conviction into her voice. Every seat has an emergency exit card. Read it. Know where to go. She locked eyes with a man in his 30s, who was gripping his armrest as if it were a lifeline. His brow furrowed, mirroring her own internal battles. In that fleeting moment, she recognized a shift. If she could harness the anxiety swirling around them, perhaps they could find strength together. You, she called, beckoning him forward. Help me direct them. Stand at that exit and guide them through. To her surprise, he nodded, his expression shifting from panic to determination. The power of one voice ignited flames of courage in others. People began to fall into rhythm, navigating their fears and moving toward the exits. Lily's heart raced, not with fear, but with purpose. She was no longer just a passive observer in a state of panic, she was shaping the unfolding narrative. Let us get back to basics, she thought, aware of every trembling breath pushing against her courage. In the chaos, she recalled her mentor's voice, telling her that true leadership was about clarity and communication. Repeat after me. She shouted. I am prepared. I am capable. We will get through this. The mantra rolled off their lips, a cacophony of resolve scattered across the cabin. Each voice interlaced with hope bound them tighter, whispering back the power they possessed. Within her, the question swelled again: could she lead them to safety? Would they follow? Suddenly, a city of noise erupted as the overhead compartments rattled ominously. The crash and clatter jolted every passenger, but Lily stood her ground, locking her gaze on the front of the cabin. Listen. We're going to get through this together. Stay calm and keep moving. With renewed focus, she noticed a woman struggling to grasp her child, panic etched in her features. "Here, I'll help," Lily said, crossing the few feet between them with a resolute stride. "I'll take your daughter to the exit first. You follow behind." The mother hesitated, her eyes reflecting uncertainty. "I can't leave her," the woman stammered. "You won't be leaving her. You'll be right behind us. We're all getting out of here." A determined nod broke through the woman's fear, and in one purposeful motion, Lily took the child's hand. As they moved, every instinct within her sharpened. Was this what it meant to assume the mantle of a leader? To marshal courage in oneself and evoke it in others? The realization cascaded over her, igniting a fire in her belly, a passion she never knew she possessed, but one that had always lingered just beneath the surface. With each step, she directed the flow of passengers to the nearest safe exit, overseeing every movement with vigilant eyes. Like a coach guiding her team, she dissected the situation, absorbing details that others overlooked: the way the exits glinted, the way hesitation filled the air, and how hope danced in the faces of those around her. Yet, amidst her triumph, doubt still lingered. Would her influence last? What if chaos fell anew? These adversities slipped and slid in her mind, creeping in with anxiety. But the truth locked away in her heart bubbled up, a steadfast reminder: fear could be navigated. Just as they reached the exit and prepared for descent, another tremor rattled the aircraft violently. The moment of truth came crashing down. Would they evacuate safely, or would it all fall apart? As she held the eyes of the passengers around her, she sensed the shadows of dread. But with terror came a sharp clarity: she had transformed. The girl who once felt overwhelmed by anxiety now stood on the precipice of courage, ready to face the unknown head-on. And that revelation was just the beginning. What lay ahead now tested the very limits of her discovery. Would she grasp the full potential of this leadership and emerge reborn in its wake? As they stood poised at the exit, ready to plunge into the abyss of uncertainty, she took one last breath, committing herself to whatever awaited outside. The door flung open, unleashing a torrent of wind that tore through the cabin, whipping hair and shrieking voices into a chaotic frenzy. Lily felt the exhilarating rush of cold air against her skin, a visceral reminder of the world beyond the confines of the aircraft. As the first passenger stepped into the unknown, she firmly grasped the child's hand and edged forward, feeling the surge of responsibility lift her higher. "Go," she urged, her voice booming above the cacophony. "The ground is just below. Trust me." The child squeezed her hand, and Lily could sense the shift in the atmosphere. Each step taken was a collective leap of faith, and she was no longer just leading a group, she was carrying the weight of their hopes. With the aircraft's roar diminishing, clarity crept back into her mind. Her thoughts tumbled as she descended. How far she had come, a girl too shy to speak up in class, now guiding the lives of strangers. The realization filled her with a determination that resonated deep within her bones. This was her moment, her stage, and she would not falter. The ground met her feet, and she quickly surveyed the surroundings. Elliptical patches of green stretched out in the distance, while rescue vehicles blinked like fireflies against the darkening sky. Breathing in the fresh air, Lily felt a wave of calm wash over her. She was here. They were here. "Stay close," she shouted, gathering the remaining passengers who tumbled out behind her. Each face, now illuminated by the shifting light, revealed a story: fear, anxiety, and a burgeoning hope. "Catch your breath and follow me." The crowd obeyed, instinctively huddling around her. Even the man she'd enlisted earlier positioned himself at her side, a steadfast ally in their shared ordeal. He gave her a nod of appreciation, and for the first moment, she recognized a vulnerability connecting them, a tapestry of shared survival. But as they made their way toward the waiting emergency vehicles, Lily's mind began to churn with uncertainty. What came next? They were safe for now, yet what lay ahead? She could sense the darkness creeping back into her thoughts. "We need to stay focused," she reminded herself, though the question echoed like a whisper in her ear: was she truly capable of leading them through the aftermath? What would they think once the adrenaline faded, with each step, she fought against the self-doubt threatening to claw at her resolve. Instead, she chose to cling to the memory of the voices declaring, "I am prepared. I am capable." They were words of strength, words of action. Suddenly, a ringing was in her ears, an insistent repetition of those powerful affirmations, and then, the sight of emergency responders flooded her with clarity. This was the circle where her leadership would truly be tested. The medics began to triage those in need, sorting the shaken from the shaken but okay. She could feel the gravity of the responsibility shift from her shoulders to theirs, and yet, an unsettling thought lingered: would they still need her? Lily found herself drawn back to her fear of inadequacy. She could help, even in this new capacity. "I can assist," she declared, striding toward a medic, a man whose harried eyes scanned the crowd, seeking order amid the chaos. "Over there, I remember the woman with the child," she gestured urgently. "She was anxious and needs reassurance." The medic glanced at her, confusion playing on his face. "You?" "Yes, me," she replied, irritation sharpening her voice. "I've seen what they've gone through. I can help guide them." In that instant, something shifted. An acknowledgement began to bloom within her. The fire that had ignited earlier wasn't extinguished, it was evolving into something more profound, a melding of experience and intuition. "All right, let us get them situated," he said, relenting. "Follow my lead." As they moved through the chaos, fostering a newfound purpose, Lily's nebulous doubts started to crystallize into a robust sense of identity. Each step she took was an affirmation of her journey, intertwining her past struggles with her present triumphs. She was becoming more than she ever believed possible, but just as she felt the flicker of certainty build within, another chorus of cries erupted from behind them. A gust of fear seized her heart as she turned to witness a group of rescue workers rushing toward a plume of smoke rising ominously in the distance. The moment of comfort shattered. Could she remain a leader amidst this new crisis? The gnawing sensation in her stomach returned, and the spotlight of her confidence began to dim as uncertainty rushed in. As she hesitated, the choice loomed before her. Would she continue to rise, or would the weight of the unknown pull her down? Lily took a deep breath, preparing to confront the challenge ahead. The time had come to face the fraying threads of her resolve. Would she stand steadfast or falter? The cries echoed behind her, sharp and discordant, contrasting with the hum of adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Lily's feet felt rooted to the ground, a moment suspended in time as uncertainty clawed at her insides. Fear whispered insidiously, urging her to retreat to the perceived safety of the emergency responders she had just begun to trust. But retreating wasn't an option. She stood at the crossroads of herself and the person she aspired to be, a leader, a guide. Every breath felt like a declaration. She had come this far, giving in to fear now would feel like betrayal, not just to herself, but to those who had placed their faith in her. With a shake of her head, she turned back toward the chaos. The plume of smoke had expanded, swirling ominously as if beckoning disaster. The cries were building, a frantic surge from the workers. They needed assistance, and she felt a resolved impulse bubbling beneath her uncertainty. "Hey!" she called out, striding toward the nearest medic again, squaring her shoulders. "What do you need?" The medic looked at her, surprise flickering in his eyes. "We're sending a team into the building." "It's unstable, I can help," she asserted, cutting off his words, her voice steadier than she felt. That old fear prickled at the corners of her mind, but she squeezed it back. "I've led people before, I can keep an eye on the perimeter, guide people to safety if more come out." "What's your experience?" he asked, skepticism still lacing his tone. "Just trust me," she urged, desperation edging her voice. "I won't fail you. I can't." There was a tense silence, his gaze piercing through her laden with judgment. Then, as if noticing something he hadn't anticipated, his shoulders relaxed slightly. "Fine. Keep everyone away and watch for anyone who needs help. If you see anyone coming out, direct them to the triage area." Relief surged in her, quickly replaced by determination. This was her moment not merely to lead, but to become a part of something larger than herself, wielding her newfound leadership like a lifeline. She nodded sharply, her resolve settling around her like protective armor. As the rescue workers moved toward the smoke, flares illuminating their determined faces, Lily turned her back on the impending chaos and strode forward. Each step was deliberate, focusing on what was within her control, breathing through the uncertainty. Gathering her courage, she began directing incoming pedestrians, a cacophony of emotions swirling with every new face she encountered. Some were dazed and shaky, while others wore panic etched into their features. She met their eyes, willing them to connect. "This way. We have medics waiting for you." The sense of urgency propelled her forward, but beneath the surface, she grappled with insecurities as she navigated the crowd. Would anyone take her seriously? Each question felt like an anchor threatening to drag her down. Yet, each triumphant reassurance she offered was a marker of her burgeoning identity. Then, amidst the flurry, a voice rang out, a sharp scream slicing through the tension. Lily turned, her heart stuttering. A child, no older than 6, stood at the edge of the crowd, staring wide-eyed at the chaos unfolding. Behind him, a woman stumbled, her expression painted with fear and desperation. Lily's innate instinct kicked in, the child needed to be guided. "Come here," Lily called, squatting low to the ground, extending her hand as she approached slowly. "You're safe with me. Let us get you and your mom to the medics." The child took a tentative step toward her, hesitance crackling in the air as he clutched his mother's hand. Lily felt a rush surge through her, not merely for herself, but for what she represented at that moment: safety, guidance, unwavering faith. But as the little boy approached, new screams erupted from the direction of the fire, a desperate cry for help reverberating against the smoke-laden sky. The sight of the flames licking higher, as if yearning for more, snagged her attention, tearing her focus and causing her stomach to twist dangerously close to despair. Could she truly be the protector she aimed to be? Would she command her rising confidence effectively when lives hung in the balance? The moment loomed before her, a test of her resolve. Would she forge ahead, or would she doubt her growing capacity and succumb to the chaos threatening her newfound purpose? Lily instinctively held the child closer, eyes darting toward the blaze, envisioning a path forward. It was through uncertainty that true leadership emerged, but would she find the audacity to embrace it? Her breath steadied as she took that leap of faith for the child, for the mother, and for herself. Would this leap define her, or would the flames of fear consume her resolve? Lily stood at the threshold of her destiny, the chaos of the previous events crystallizing into a profound truth. The fire crackled ominously behind her, but within her heart burned a fierce, unwavering resolve that had blossomed amid the storm. She had transformed from a whispering child into a voice of courage, and now was her moment to prove that metamorphosis to herself and others. The child clung to her hand, eyes wide with fear, but when Lily met his gaze, she saw something else: trust. With each deep breath, she recalled the triumphs of the flight, the way she had unified the passengers and broken free from her fear. If she could rally individuals caught in panic, she could lead this young boy and his mother, too. "We're going to get you to safety," she reassured him, her voice steady and sure, echoing the strength she had unearthed. Just as she began to guide them, a rescue worker rushed towards her. "We need eyes on the perimeter," he shouted, but rather than retreating into uncertainty, Lily stepped forward with conviction. "I can help," she declared. "I know where to lead them." Confidence surged through her, firming her stance. This wasn't a call to duty, it was her destiny unfolding before her. The medic looked at her, assessing her readiness. "All right, keep everyone clear and alert me if anything needs assistance." There was a flicker of acknowledgement in his eyes. Perhaps he could see the metamorphosis that had taken place not just in her, but within everyone she had helped on the flight. She nodded, emboldened. This was her choice. She was no longer afraid. As they moved into the heart of the chaos, she directed the family toward the triage area, where medics were assessing the situation. Lily felt empowered, each step reinforcing her belief in her ability to make a difference, no longer a ghost among the throng, but a beacon guiding others to safety. In the distance, she heard shouts mingling with the crackle of fire, urgency eclipsing her momentary pride. "Is anyone else left in the building?" someone yelled. Fear pulsed through the crowd. The stakes had escalated again. "Stay focused," Lily shouted, her voice rising above the din. "Stay close and listen to the medics." She spurred them to action, managing to gain their attention as she pointed toward the access point they would need. People began to gather behind her, not just as followers but as allies in this journey. For the first time, she felt the overwhelming power of a unified front transposed onto her shoulders. They were strong together. An elderly woman reached for her hand, trembling visibly. "Stay with us," Lily urged. "We're all in this together." As she held the woman's hand, she felt the weight of her leadership expand, yet it was no longer a burden, it was a responsibility she was honored to shoulder. Then chaos erupted, the sharp sounds of an explosion rattling the area as flames surged. Lily's heart lurched, yet she stood her ground, focused on the road ahead. "We need to dispatch teams inside," she called to the medic, her voice difficult to drown out. "I'll direct everyone. Just bring them out safely." The medic nodded, a hard edge of trust sparking between them. With renewed ferocity, Lily stepped to the forefront. "Listen. Everyone listen. I need volunteers. We're going to create a human chain to guide anyone who comes out." Her commands ignited an electric response, both the passengers and medics energized and eager to unite. Hands reached out, forming a chain of determination, hearts aligned with the purpose she had ignited. As more rescue workers streamed in from the outside, holding protective gear, a new wave of fear crumbled into hope. Each time she rallied the crowd, she saw flickers of confidence surging in those around her, the moments they had faced adversity together, connecting them through shared experience. Finally, as another survivor emerged from the smoke, Lily propelled herself into action. "This way!" she shouted, guiding them towards safety, the chain reshaping in response to her vision. In those moments, as they led families to safety, a wild realization washed over her: she was not just a leader, she was a force. The metamorphosis had completed, not just into someone who could guide others, but one who embraced the very essence of resilience that lay at her core. She had conquered doubt, emerging grounded and unshakable, with the last of the survivors directed to safety, and the emergency responders beginning their work on the perimeter. Lily stepped back, finally able to breathe. The urgency relented, she had faced chaos with unwavering spirit and emerged as a figure of strength. Her heart swelled with pride as she had not only transformed internally but had galvanized those around her. The men and women who once overlooked her had become allies, eyes now reflecting mutual respect and admiration. In that moment of clarity, she felt gratitude for every challenge she had faced throughout the journey to this pinnacle, proving that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. In the aftermath, as emergency responders worked tirelessly and news crews began to gather, she knew her true victory was in the courage she had transformed into reality. The doubts that had tethered her thoughts had been vanquished, replaced by concrete conviction. She had achieved a stalwart position not merely as a survivor but as a leader, a young girl who had rewritten her narrative through palpable action. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of hope, Lily understood that this was only the beginning. She had conquered her greatest adversary, herself, and in doing so, had earned the right to stand proud. Though a new chapter lay ahead, she was prepared, both mentally and emotionally, to dive into the possibilities that awaited. Today, she had anchored herself amid unyielding turbulence and emerged not just a hero to those around her but a testament to the strength found in personal transformation. Now, as you've witnessed this incredible journey of resilience, I urge you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters. Comment below with your thoughts and theories about what Lily will face next, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to spread the inspiration. True fans of personal overcoming understand the impact of supporting the channel. Together, let us drive this message forward.